Yo guys, what's up? COD 4 is done, Beast of the Wild has come to an end, and I know, I like animals too, but one thing that I find as interesting as animals is the storyline behind major conflicts. So, thanks to Battlefield 1, I have authentic gameplay to go with my story for today, because I'm gonna tell you guys all about World War I. A war with combatants, but not even real armies as we know them today. Most of the soldiers in this war had never even seen a combat situation, even the Americans. The Great War began due to a diplomatic crisis between Serbia and Austria because of an assassination. Apparently the Archduke of Austria, Francis Ferdinand, was killed by a Yugoslav nationalist in Sarajevo on the 28th of June 1914. 1 week later, the German Empire, led by Kaiser Wilhelm II, made a promise to Austria that it would support its neighbor no matter what. Of course, the Russian Empire, led by Tsar Nicholas II, knew what was coming, so he ordered a mobilization at the end of July, and on the 28th of July, Austro-Hungary declared war on Serbia, therefore officially starting this Great War. So what started as a bitch fit between Austria and Serbia very soon became everyone's interest. Kaiser Wilhelm, he told the Russian Empire to back off. Tsar Nicholas said fuck you to the German Empire, and of course on the 1st of August, the German Empire declared war on the Russian Empire. Now, strange fact, Nicholas II, the Tsar of Russia, came from a German family. Also George of Great Britain and Albert I of Belgium came from that same German family. They were nephews. Sounds like the Kardashians, huh? So of course Kaiser Wilhelm II was on his high horse. He wasn't gonna lose a battle against a bunch of spoiled rich kids. Now, even though Nicholas ordered the mobilization of his Russian troops, he was heavily outnumbered. The East needed support from the West. From France, led by Raymond Poincaré. Funny name. France started an immediate mobilization of its troops. So of course on the 3rd of August, Wilhelm declared war on France and Poincaré. Which means that the German troops started a march straight through Belgium and Luxembourg, both neutral countries, and on the 4th of August, Great Britain declared war on Germany because Albert and George were relatives. Belgium didn't pose a threat nor a problem, so the German troops invaded France on the 23rd of August, and they were able to move up as far as Paris. At the start of September, the Battle of the Marne kicked off, and that's where the Germans were halted. A trench line would now become the Western Front line. Not much changed in this trench warfare until 1918, but in the east a lot changed. The Russian troops were able to move up to East Prussia, but the Germans held them back. More shit was coming, because at the end of October also the Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey, joined the Central Powers. Which means new fronts were opened up in Sinai, Caucasus and Mesopotamia. And shit was about to go down because Russia and Serbia were now attacked from all sides. All of this happened in 1914. At the start of 1915, there was a Zeppelin raid on Great Britain, and 1 month later Britain bombed some Turkish forts belonging to the Ottoman Empire. 2 months after that, Allied troops landed in Gallipoli, and the German U-boats, the undersea boats, they sunk a ship called LUSITANIA, and at the end of May also Italy joined the cause and the Allied forces. Now Bulgaria, they had a different plan. They joined the Central Powers, Germany, Austria, Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. On the 8th of December 1915, the Canadian doctor John McCrae wrote his final version of the poem In Flanders Fields after months of misery, cold and mud in the trenches. I'll read a short part of it. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. Now here we lie in Flanders fields. An extremely sad poem. In 1916 there were a lot of battles, also on the Western Front, with the most important one being the Battle of the Somme that started on the 1st of July 1916, and 2 months later a lot of British tanks were added to the battle. They were called Mark I. Now Adolf Hitler served in World War I in the infantry as a corporal, if I'm not mistaken, so he saw these Mark I tanks with his own eyes, and he was interested, to say the least. I'll tell you all about that starting November. But at the end of 1916, David Lloyd George became the British Prime Minister, and he also saw that Romania joined the Allies, and that even Japan was interested. Now the Americans, they were hesitant. They did not join until April 1917, at a point where Germany had caused a lot of damage at sea with its naval warfare. The U-boats, the Unterseebooten, they were killers. Great Britain had a lot of problems with that. So together with the French and the Americans, Great Britain launched a massive offensive on the 6th of November, 7 months after the American landing in France. But there had been problems in the east as well, because in March the Russian government had collapsed, resulting in a heavy defeat for Mother Russia in November. And it was so bad that even with the help of the Allies in the West, Russia was forced to sign an armistice at the start of December 1917. Russia was defeated. So 4 days later, British aircraft attacked Jerusalem, liberating the city from the Turks. And slowly there was hope, but in March 1918, the German Empire launched a series of stunning offensives at the Western front line, after which they got driven back again. Thank God for British tanks and American forces, who were not very well equipped at that time. Now finally, 8 months later, on the 4th of November 1918, Austro-Hungary was forced to sign an armistice, as was the German Empire 1 day later. On the 11th of November 1918, finally the Great War was over. It had involved over 70 million combatants, 60 million of them were Europeans, around 25 million people served the Central Powers, more than 50% were killed or went missing. Around 45 million people served the Allied forces, around 50% of them dealt with the same outcome. Because the war was over, most of the empire ceased to exist, and they would be renamed later. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed to prevent this from happening again. But a large economic depression, renewed nationalism, and a feeling of German humiliation led up to another Great War. But that's for later. I hope you enjoyed the story and the gameplay, and I will do more Battlefield videos before November, as well as some Zombies Chronicles, so good times ahead. Thank you for listening, see you on the next one guys, peace.